Okay, part two. Do you guys remember when I did that post? I just did something to my shoulder. Remember when I was saying, you know, whatever you start will continue? I guess what I want to elaborate on about that is I think that what I've started to see about this incorporating this way of eating. Am I too close up? Hold on. No. I just feel closer. I feel close to you guys. Okay, so what I've noticed about incorporating this way of eating is that I'm much more comfortable eating less. I mean, I can certainly notice when, you know, my stomach feels light and it feels empty when I'm starting to get hungry, right? But it's not like I'm, you know, doubled over going, oh my gosh, you know, I'm starving, and I'm certainly never going to say that. It's just kind of eating this way has gotten that mindset out of me, because we're never really starving. We don't even know what being starving is like. But what has happened is that if I do slip up in any way and I am at an event and I eat too much, the first thing that I notice is how excessively uncomfortable it is, because my stomach has shrunk. And not just how I look on the outside. My stomach, this is really bothering, my stomach has shrunk on the inside. So if I eat more, like in whatever day it was recently, I went out for a meeting and we went for dinner and I ordered a turkey Reuben. And I had the first half, and normally the way I eat now, I just have half and I'd have a few fries and I'd be fine. But it was so good that I kind of overlooked and I did what I probably would have done years ago, which is like, wow, this is good, I'm just gonna have it, you know, kind of thinking this is a cheat food. I just know that was what was going on in my head. And I ate the whole thing. And I was so, I cannot even tell you, I was so uncomfortable. This was not like having 17 pieces of pizza, okay? I just had the whole sandwich. And yeah, it was a pretty good sized sandwich, but it wasn't, you know how you can go to a restaurant and some sandwiches are like this big? It wasn't that big, okay? But I love NSYNC. Why can't they get them together? I was so uncomfortable, just the feeling of fullness, and I kept, you know, I was like, I think I had to take the train home that night, and I'm just sitting on the train and I'm like, I don't feel well. I mean, so like it ruined the whole night. But what was funny about that is that was my dinner, right? And I found that by eating more, then I get home, and whenever it was, you know, I'm sitting here watching TV at like 10 or 11, and I'm like thinking I'm hungry, and I'm like, why am I hungry? Woke up the next morning, and I was more hungry the next morning than I normally am when I get up and I'm not eating late at night. So I guess what I'm starting to notice is when I step outside of this way that I'm eating now, and I eat more, it's almost like it gets me into wanting more. And when I just eat minimally, like I'm eating now, and guys, it's not like I'm eating like a bird, okay? But I've significantly cut back the amount of times I'm eating per day. I'm eating what I want, and I'm not pigging out. And so it's like when I break that cycle now, it's almost like turning back the time, and I go back into that, like just wanting to eat for eating's sake. And I can start to recognize it now, where I've started to talk myself. I've just found myself a couple of times where, you know, I've eaten something and then I'm like, well, you know what, maybe I'll just go to McDonald's tonight since I already, and then I'm like, wait a minute. Why do you want to go to McDonald's? You just want to go to McDonald's because you're starting to look at today like it was a screw up. You know, so those old ways of thinking still come back. But for me, I feel better, I'm more comfortable eating less. I've told you guys, I'm not just, you know, eating vegetables, I'm not cutting out fruit, I'm not cutting out carbs, I'm not eating junk food every day, but I'm just eating less, and it's really working for me. And yet, what's interesting is as much weight as I've lost, I still have a ways to go, guys. I mean, when I look at my rear, you know, I always look when I get dressed, and I look at the front view and I look at the back view to track. I really still have a lot of weight to lose. And I think that just proves the point to all of you that are younger. Okay, remember, I'm old, I'm 41. But one of the things that happened to me over the past couple of years with the medical problems and the skin condition that I was dealing with and the hormonal changes, I really was not working out as consistently, and I wasn't paying attention to my body. So while I knew I had gained weight, I knew it when I went to go put on my summer clothes, and certain pants or whatever, I realized it way too late because I wasn't paying attention. And what happens is it's a very slow shift in how you gain weight. And if you're not paying attention, like most of us are, that's how you can start to gain weight. And you're gaining it maybe without realizing it, because if you're not just pigging out, but maybe you're just becoming more sedentary, or you're adding, you know, you're starting to eat just a little bit more every day, or maybe you're going out with work associates and having more drinks. If you're not really paying attention and taking your measurements or weighing yourself or whatever it is that you're doing to measure, you will not notice that, like, maybe your bra is a little tighter in the back and you have that little, you know, bit of fat underneath your bra. Or you might not notice, you might be, you know, looking at your biceps and going, wow, you know, I still got good muscle, but you might not realize that the fat underneath has increased too. And then all of a sudden when you start to notice, it seems more significant to you because you haven't paid attention for a while. So that's why, you know, once I figured everything out, once I got all of the medical situations and that wonderful doctor who figured out that skin infection for me, and I've figured out my diet and I'm losing weight and whatever, I don't have any doubts about reaching my goal. But I also know that for the rest of my life, I will never, ever, ever stop being active. I'm never going to stop tracking my workouts. I'm never going to stop, you know, measuring my progress, meaning like looking at myself in the mirror, seeing, you know, how I look naked, okay? That's it. You gotta be tracking yourself, because if you don't, that's how you end up looking like the rest of the people in this country that are wearing, you know, I don't even want to go into it. I'm not gonna make sweeping generalizations, but if you're not working out all the time, if you're not in your tight workout clothes and paying attention to anything that looks funny or feels funny, or you've got more jiggle or less jiggle, that's how you get into a complacent attitude. That's how you can start to really gain a lot without noticing it, because it's going to be a very slow thing. It's not like you just went from eating great and then you stopped working out and you started pigging out all the time. Most people don't do that. It's usually very slow. And I will tell you, it's a great feeling for me when every time I work out and I put my clothes on, they feel better. But I'm also not going to give into this feeling of, wow, this is great. My pants are so loose. I mean, now I can just enjoy this. No, I am nowhere near where I want to be totally. And I'm happy that I figured out the good fit for me, but you've got to keep going. And you've got to be hard on yourself. Hard on yourself, but nice to yourself. Does that make sense? Be hard on yourself, meaning don't slack and don't be like, yeah, this is enough. I can deal with it. I look okay. Or maybe I shouldn't say that, because maybe for some people that's enough for you. For me, it's not. I will not be happy until I can really look at my rear view and this area that's still, I'm telling you guys, it drives me freaking nuts. I mean, you would think most people have like fat roll down here. I swear to God, it's like somebody just put like a piece of Play-Doh right underneath my bra line. I'm like, why is it there in the middle of my back? But apparently this is very common with women. You know, later in life, they all talk about that back fat, and I'm telling you, it's the last area that is disappearing on my body, driving me nuts. My legs and my butt are really thinning out and really firming up, and I'm so pleased with them. And from the side, you know, my stomach's gotten really flat again. I feel great. You know, my arms, I've lost weight from my arms, lost weight in my face. Boobs, not so much. Fine with that though. And, but yeah, that area, and then, you know, just kind of down here, I need to shave just some inches off, and then I'll be happy. So, and I also came up with kind of a contest and a hashtag that I might launch with you guys, but I've already forgotten my hashtag, so I have to maybe have some more soda, and then I'll remember it, and I'll share it with you guys so that we can all get into this. It was something like pinch the inches, you know, like, because one of the things that I can't stand is that I can pinch that fat back there. So to me, that's my measuring gauge, is that I want to be able to do a vlog and actually have like Miranda stand behind me. I'm going to go, Miranda, can you pinch? And she'll be able to say no, and then that's when I'm going to know I've hit my goal. So I was thinking a hashtag like pinch the inch, but then that might sound kind of gross, but I don't know. So I've got to have to think about that, and then we can all just support each other and share a group hug and pinch those inches together. Is that inappropriate? Is that something that could be misinterpreted in a different way? I kind of get myself into these situations, so you'll have to let me know, okay? See you guys tomorrow. Love the shoes. Talk to you later.